Hello, everyone. Name's Mike, author of the Believers superhero novel trilogy. We're reading from book two today. Let me share my screen so we can get started. All right, here we are. Chapter 7, Family Support. Do you think Jerry will call us? It depends on how late he works, Thomas Miller replied as he calmly watched a baseball game on TV. But you saw the news. Someone died. He never handles that well. He's getting older now, and ever since the gang girls attacked us last year, he's been trying to keep us out of trouble. I know, Tom, but maybe I should call him just to check on him? I know it's not easy for you, but you have to let him grow up and take care of things on his own. Tom, you know very well that our son's life growing up has been very different from ours. We did not prepare him for this, Sandra Miller stated with a heightened voice. Mr. Miller turned off the TV, held his wife's hand, looked into her eyes, and said, maybe we did not prepare him for this kind of life, but he's much stronger than we were at his age. We just have to believe in him and support him whenever we can. Mrs. Miller calmed down a bit and replied, it never gets easier, Tom. Worrying about Jerry is a full-time job, and I can't stop worrying just because he has superpowers. Sometimes that makes it even worse, as if the whole world is depending on him. Mrs. Miller looked at the window and front door, wondering if her son would come home. Since his job is so demanding and dangerous, Jerry sleeps at different locations each night, such as a police station, secret FBI locations, friends' houses, etc. Mr. Miller knew that his wife would not sleep well tonight unless he took action, so he pulled out his cell phone and sent a subtle message to his son, hoping he would answer his prayers. Surprisingly, Jerry appeared seconds later in the living room. Mrs. Miller always felt surprised when Jerry appeared with teleportation. She could never fathom the fact that somehow she gave birth to a son with superpowers. She slowly stood up from the couch, approached her son, and gave him a warm hug with a few tears. Jerry felt her anxiety and said, don't worry, Mom. It's okay. I'm fine. Nothing happened to me. You know that doesn't make me feel better. I worry every day about you, and this time you were on the news in Missouri. That's so far away. I know, Mom. I wasn't expecting it either. I didn't even know I could go that far. Mr. Miller chimed in. We know you can do anything. It's just a matter of learning about yourself and trying new things, right? I bet you could go to the moon. Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Mrs. Miller exclaimed. Don't worry, Mom. I don't think I'm going to the moon anytime soon. Mrs. Miller breathed a sigh of relief and said, I'm glad you're home tonight. I'm going to whip up a quick dinner for all of us. You should invite Cynthia as well. I'm sure she misses you too. Thanks, Mom. I'll do it now, Jerry shouted as his mother walked into the kitchen. Then he used his cell phone to send Cynthia a text message. Mr. Miller felt much better with Jerry back home. It gave his wife something different to think about. People often get stuck in routines, so it's nice to have a change in pace occasionally. Mrs. Miller decided to make a fun and simple meal: sliced ham on the side and white rice with sunny side eggs on top. When the egg yolk mixes with the rice, it's delicious and savory. While Mrs. Miller cooked, her husband and Jerry had a father-son talk. Hey, son, you want to talk about what happened today? It certainly wasn't a picnic, Jerry sighed. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but we saw it on the news and it scared your mom a bit. I know, it scared me too. I didn't know what I was getting into. I'm assuming you're talking about the criminal, Acid Man, right? Mr. Miller inquired. Yeah, he was crazy and powerful. It was so dangerous for everyone around me. He kept trying to kill people and I was barely able to save everyone. What if I made a mistake? What if I failed to save someone and saw them melt in front of my eyes? Jerry asked, and then shuddered and grew silent. Mr. Miller never truly understood Jerry's job and the stress until now. So many people are watching and depending on Jerry to save lives. Any mistake he makes can result in a person dying and millions of people seeing it on TV, the internet, etc. Thankfully, Jerry did not make a mistake today. He was a hero and deserved praise for his actions. Mr. Miller looked at Jerry and said, "Today was a success. You saved everyone and should feel good about yourself." "Not everyone, Dad. Acid Man died, and it was all my fault." "Why do you think it's your fault, Jerry?" "Acid Man gained powers from me and died using them. None of this would have happened if he didn't have powers. Now my powers are spreading to others around the world and causing lots of problems for good people. Any deaths involving superpowers are all my fault." Mr. Miller shook his head and said, "Some people are evil and cannot be controlled or negotiated with. Evil people start wars, conquer lands, and kill people for many reasons. They also use whatever means necessary. Whether they have powers or weapons doesn't matter. Acid Man could have easily done everything with a gun. But he didn't use a gun. He used my powers," Jerry sadly replied. Mr. Miller looked his son in the eyes and spoke with a firm tone. "Power comes in many forms. When people obtain power, they have a choice to make. Bad people will always choose to hurt others, but good people will choose to help others. You, my son, will always help others. You are not the problem. You are the solution. You are everything this world needs, and I will always be proud of you." "Thanks, Dad," Jerry said as he hugged his father. Jerry appreciated his parents' love and support. Not all people are so lucky. Some people have no parents, like Leah. Jerry worried about her a bit, wondering what happened to her after she fled Chief Grimes' wedding. While Jerry was lost in thought, the doorbell rang, and Mr. Miller opened the door. Cynthia had arrived, saying hello to Mr. Miller and hurrying over to Jerry. She was very happy, hugging Jerry and sharing stories about her college nursing classes. She also told Jerry about her research with Dr. Diaz and their new findings. It turns out that everyone with superpowers will have increased levels of solar radiation in their bodies, just like Jerry. It's the same way that the FBI detects heat signatures with thermal vision technology. They can also detect solar radiation with satellites. This should help the FBI to find new believers faster before they cause harm like Acid Man did. Dinner was ready, and they all sat down as a family, eating, laughing, and enjoying their time together. Everyone tried avoiding the topic of Acid Man in Missouri, but Jerry eventually brought it up and talked about the more positive aspects. Despite all the chaos with Acid Man, people were very nice in Missouri. I was resting in an area sectioned off by the police, and many people waved, cheered, and gave me a thumbs up for saving them. "That's very nice, dear. I'm glad they appreciate you," Mrs. Miller acknowledged, feeling thankful that people treat him well and are not scared of his powers. Laserpoint also did a great job. He took care of everything afterward. I was able to relax while he handled the police, FBI, and news reporters. "Who's Laserpoint?" Mr. Miller asked. "He's an FBI agent who can shoot lasers. He's older, quiet, and intimidating. He seemed a bit cold when I first met him, but I think he's a good guy. He took care of all the aftermath and let me rest, which is really nice of him." "He can shoot lasers as a superpower? That's amazing. I'm jealous. I hope I get a chance to meet him and all new believers in the future. Mr. Cream is my favorite so far," Cynthia explained. "I'm not too thrilled about anyone who shoots lasers. That sounds dangerous," Mr. Miller reasoned. "But what about Mr. Cream?" Mrs. Miller giggled. "He sounds like fun. What can he do?" "He makes the best ice cream ever, and he's super nice too," Cynthia excitedly replied. Jerry loved watching his family eating and laughing. It made him feel content and relieved. It validated everything Jerry believed about his job and life decisions. If being a cop and superhero brings happiness to his loved ones, then it's all worth it. Acid Man and Kevin Baker are now in the past, but there will be more villains in trouble in the future. Jerry silently promised to never let that weigh him down. His powers are growing, and he's finding new ways to use them too. Hopefully, he can continue getting stronger and protect everyone. After dinner, they were all relaxing in front of the TV. Ironically, They watched a comedy show where a man was making fun of superheroes. Can you imagine their laundry bills? I feel sorry for those guys. Now I know why they have real jobs in their regular lives, because they gotta buy new clothes every week. And what's with the bad secret identities? You can't be serious if you think wearing a pair of glasses will hide your face. Do they think we're stupid? At least wear a wig or something. Maybe even cross-dressing. That'll really confuse everyone, right? If it wasn't obvious, Jerry loved the show more than anyone else in the room and laughed aloud like a hyena. Cynthia and his parents never see Jerry like this, so they were laughing more at him than they were at the TV. After the show, Jerry escorted Cynthia to her car and kissed her goodnight. He also said goodnight to his parents and went to his bedroom for sleep. Unexpectedly, his cell phone rang, and Jerry picked up. It was Vaughn. Sorry for calling so late, bro, but I got more information about Leah. No worries, Vaughn. Tell me what you got. I confirmed her story about living in a foster care group home and got the address for you. She's homeschooled there along with other kids, so she rarely gets to leave unless she breaks the rules and escapes. She has no known family. Lastly, I found out a bit of personal information, but I think you should ask her about it in person. What do you mean personal? Is it something bad? Why not tell me now? Vaughn paused for a moment, sighed, and replied, it's kind of sensitive and not something I want to talk about on the phone. She likes you, so she'll probably tell you everything if you visit her. This news worried Jerry greatly, so he agreed to visit Leah at the group home tomorrow. He thanked Vaughn for the information, put his phone away, and tried going to sleep. He thought a lot about Leah, wondering what the personal information could be, and it worried him sick. Vaughn would never keep information from him unless it was something bad. Jerry eventually fell asleep, but he had a strange dream. It was a dark, cloudy night, and Leah was sneaking around the group home, playing hide and seek with other children. They made silly noises, and one or two adults were walking around, keeping an eye out for trouble and finding children who should be sleeping. Everything seemed fine until Jerry heard a low, heavy breathing sound that nobody else in the group home heard. A deep fog began surrounding the group home. Hidden within the fog were shadowy, ghost-like figures, floating and clawing at the windows. They desperately wanted something inside, emitting painful, screeching sounds that only Jerry could hear. An innocent boy soon approached the window, and Jerry called out, no! Get away from there! The boy could not hear Jerry's warning and reached for the window latch. As soon as the window opened, the ghosts angrily crashed through, knocking the boy to the ground and soaring down the halls. They quickly rushed into a room and surrounded a small wooden cupboard. Someone was hiding inside, praying to be anywhere else except the group home. Jerry trembled in fear, feeling hopeless and scared for the person inside. The cupboard door began to violently shake, and the person inside desperately fought to keep it closed. But the door inevitably opened. The moonlight revealed Leah's horrified face. She saw the ghosts and screamed in terror as they all swarmed her. Jerry urgently cried out and woke up in a pool of sweat. And that's it. That's the end of chapter 7. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all for the next video. Thank you very much.